This is the classic example of the president's view of what is alternative facts. These are alternative facts. Look, the president starts from saying that nothing happened, and then he says, well, if I did say it, there would be nothing wrong with it, and then suggesting that he may have raised it, but there was no quid pro quo. So it's a slippery slope as to where the president is at.
All right, you can catch the rest of my interview with Senator Menendez tonight on Stateside. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on I-24 News. And for more, we want to bring in Richard Roth. Richard's an attorney and founder of the Roth Law Firm, and Ken Del Vecchio, an attorney and GOP strategist. Thank you both so much for being here. Richard, normally I would start with you, but I've got to get Ken's reaction to Speaker Pelosi making this announcement today. Is this, as the president calls it, just a witch hunt because the Mueller probe failed?
You know what? When Bob Menendez himself was facing charges, I was one of the first people to say that charges shouldn't be brought against him. What's going on here is a bunch of people with pointy hats running around with pitchforks, screaming to burn somebody alive when they have absolutely no evidence whatsoever. It is a modern-day witch hunt. There is no substance here. I think I heard Tal say before, speaking to one of the correspondents, that there hasn't been any transcripts released. There hasn't been any complaint read by anybody in Congress. There's no evidence out there. It's a bunch of people with a bunch of ideas that are fabricated through a fake news media outlet.
But here's what Speaker Pelosi said today. She's saying that asking for foreign help to dig up dirt on domestic political opponent, that's the bar for her. What do you think? Should she wait?
Here's what happened. On February 28, 2019, the White House announced it was sending.
You want to start with 2016?
The answer, okay. 2019, I'm sorry. The White House announced it was sending $400 million of foreign aid to Ukraine. He doesn't send it in February, doesn't send it in March, doesn't send it in April. In May, all of a sudden, he starts talking to the president of Ukraine about trying to dig up dirt on Hunter Biden, Joe's son. Then he still doesn't send it. He doesn't send it in May, he doesn't send it in June, he doesn't send it in July, he doesn't send it in August. And Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is suffering because they're waiting for this aid. Why does he not send it? Donald Trump himself said that he delayed in sending it, and he implied it was related to Joe Biden. The reason why we don't have information, Ken, is because they refused to release a whistleblower complaint, which came out about the very phone calls that Donald Trump had and the very issue. They also didn't release the transcript. Donald Trump said he will release a transcript tomorrow. How about all the transcripts, Mr. Trump? If you have nothing to hide, then just lift up your skirt.
Doesn't matter
Show
if
us
he
everything.
releases the transcript. Should he release the transcripts?
Absolutely not. This is going to set off a terrible precedent. This is the president of the United States communicating with the leader of another foreign country. Every time somebody makes some kind of allegation about some kind of conversation that a president or another top elected official has with somebody from a foreign country, that they believe that there might have been something illicit that occurred in the conversation. Every time that occurs, to ask to have that information released, this information needs to be private for national security reasons. Let's take a big step back here. This all began back with this phony Russian investigation that was predicated on a hoax, predicated on no probable cause for warrants, predicated upon FISA warrants that were illegally obtained.
The Russian investigation was legitimate. The Republicans in the Senate
it wasn't legitimate.
They confirmed it.
It was
the
a
issue
fraud.
whether Donald, it wasn't a fraud. The Russians were indicted. Many were convicted. The issue,
Russians were indicted.
The issue was whether Donald Trump was involved in it. I agree with you. There was no collusion, but don't say there was no obstruction. When Donald Trump tells McGahn, fire Mueller, fire Mueller, fire Mueller.
This is a completely different
bad.
conversation, but there was no obstruction.
Here's the problem.
Bob Barr said it himself that there was no obstruction. There was no obstruction found by Mueller either. But that's a whole different conversation.
Wait.
Let's talk about Joe Biden for a second.
I want you both to go to your respective corners for just one moment.
Including me?
Rich, you don't have to go to your corner. All right. All right, so let's talk about very quickly this transcript. You mentioned the transcript a moment ago. The president is promising a full, unredacted, unclassified transcript here.
Of a transcript.
Of the
one.
call.
And there's several calls he had.
All right, but let's say that the transcript comes out as the president promises, and it just substantiates what the president is saying, that he did nothing wrong.
That's great. The first thing I would do it. That's good. Now let's look at the whistleblower complaint. Let's not forget the articles of impeachment were designed in 1778. It was James Madison and Alexander Hamilton who said that if there's any abuse of power, we have to investigate. And the question here is whether there was an abuse of power.
What about the vice president of the United States? in his dealings with Ukraine and pushing to remove a prosecutor who is looking into the matter of his own son.
Well,
are you interested in looking
if in
at
fact
this?
that happened, you're right. But so far, the vice president has released everything. There's been nothing to show. In fact, Donald Trump tried to actually have that prosecutor fired because he didn't find any substantive evidence. And what Donald Trump is doing, he's doing exactly what was alleged to have been done in Russia. He's cooperating. Forget about the aid to Ukraine. He's trying to get a foreign sovereign to dig up dirt against his adversary. That is the quintessence abuse of power.
You've had a lot of time.
That's a good point. Who does that? Who is Christopher Steele?
Wait. You've had a lot of time in this.
Who does that? Who asks a foreign citizen to dig up dirt on political opponents?
Not if you're withholding aid. Not if you say, I'm not giving you $400 million to assist your impoverished.
We have to cut through all the fat here. We have to cut through all the fat here.
We have 20 seconds left, Ken.
Look,
we don't have the fat.
Look, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the President of the United States asking to have investigation go into another top leader of the United States.
I couldn't disagree more. Not when he's running against for president.
You can't every time an elected official has something dirt on somebody else, you can't claim that you're running against me for office, so you can't investigate me.
Unfortunately,
guys, I think we're all down for the count on this one.
Outside.
All right.
Richard Roth, Kendall Vecchio, thank you both.